All right. Hey, Cody, how are you? Congratulations on the contract.
Hey, thanks, Morley. Yeah, good to hear your voice.
Thank you. Last time we talked, you were going home to talk to your wife and talk to your family and make a decision on your future. Tell me how that conversation went about continuing to play and coming back to Edmonton.
Yeah, we had some good lengthy discussions, and what kept coming up was just the way the season finished, with so much momentum, so much excitement. I think around the organization, around the way that I was able to play and put up some pretty good numbers in the short time that I was there. Also, talking about it, we felt like if I'm going to play my last year, I want to be the guy from week one, and not the guy from week seven. So that played a little bit of a role into it, just to see what can happen with a full season. We had to make sure that things would be able to be worked out with my wife being here with the kids, and with daycare schedules and her work schedule, and just making sure that we can have the needed help, because last year was pretty tough on us. So obviously when you sign for a starting quarterback salary, it's a little bit better than what I had last year as a backup. So you're able to kind of manipulate some things and set some things up so life can be a little bit easier for my wife. But most importantly, we just felt the momentum of this organization and where Ed and Coach Killam wanted to take it. And there's a lot of guys in that locker room when I left, begging and pleading me to kind of come back. And to tell you the truth, that's a big reason why I wanted to come back. Guys like Justin Rankin, guys like Kaon, like guys that I have really strong relationships with, who have been nonstop texting me and, hey, have any news, any news, any news. And I'm like, dang, are you guys reporters or what? So when you have a locker room that really wants you back, and you feel that, not only with the players, but I felt that with Coach Killam and Coach McSimic. And then I feel that with Ed, and the way that our conversations went. It's just one of those things where I looked back to last year,
Uh,
and this team is a team that traded for me. And so that tells me everything I needed to know right there. Was there was already a lot of love for me in that building. And so the way things played out, and being able to get this done, I'm excited to see where this can go in 2026.
It's a 1 year deal, so I'm assuming for the rest of your career now you're going to be going 1 year at a time.
We talked about a 2 year, Ed and I, but it just makes sense to do 1 year at a time, because the last thing you want to do is sign a 2 year deal and then you retire and you pull the rug out from a team. And I didn't want to do that. It wasn't fair to them. The only thing you really get as a CFL player, and I've learned this because getting traded with my contract in Montreal, nothing's guaranteed money wise. Really, you can start getting some more guaranteed money in your contract, but the only thing that a 2 year deal would have done is injury prevention. So if I got injured this year, it would protect me for next year. But I told Ed, I said, look, Ed, if a serious injury happens to me, I'm pretty much hanging them up as well. So that protects the team, and it just allows me to be excited about 1 year. And also but that's not taking 2027 off the table. And like I said, we talked about 2 year deal, and we talked about, well, I'm going to sign a team-friendly deal, and if we go out and do everything that we expect to do, then we can get back to the negotiating table. And that could happen, in August. That can happen in September. That can happen in December. Like, there's so many different ways to add the second year on during the season, but there's only so much you can do to take that second year away.
Tell me about last season for you and how much of a roller coaster ride, if it was for you, the way you came in and the way you elevated yourself through the season to the starter's role.
Yeah, I honestly think it was more challenging than I let on. And the reason behind that is I was so used to being a starting quarterback where you get rhythm with guys. You just get into I guess, that flow state as an athlete through training camp, through the first couple weeks of the season, where you have a couple of games to kind of figure things out. When you're kind of smack dab in the middle of the season and you're losing pace in the playoff race, like, you feel a little bit more, I need to do more. I need to do more. And so I felt like there was times when I was almost doing too much because I was trying to make up for lost time as the starting quarterback. But the experiences I had last year and the relationships I built with, especially some of these young receivers that I can't wait to see in year two, that kind of flourished as the season progressed. Guys like Hilaire, who finished the year as one of my top guys. Benjamin Victor is a guy who's only going to get better as he continues to learn the CFL game. And then you saw what Calhoun did in the last game of the year against a very good Calgary defense. So those are factors that played into my mind as well. As a young and talented receiving core that's only going to get better. And those were the conversations I had with Ed, was like, if the team stayed the same from last year going into 2026, we're already going to be better just because of all the young guys that had to play meaningful snaps and get that experience. So if you don't add anybody in free agency, that's the team's already going to be better. Ed expressed how he's always been aggressive in free agency, and so I felt like my deal was. I was able to be valued in my deal, but also I was able to leave the team with a lot of resources to be aggressive if they have to be, and fill some holes that they think need to be filled.
From last year to this year, how different will training camp be for you? Do you come in with more of a swagger, a little bit more of a in a leadership role now because you're the starter?
I think, yeah, I'm going to be definitely the vocal guy I'm used to being. It was actually pretty interesting because last year we had captain votes, and I didn't say much in training camp, but I know my name was up there for one of the captain spots, and that was pretty impressive. Just because I didn't say much, I feel like maybe it was just the way I carried myself, but to be able to have a full off season to prepare with Coach McSimic, where we can get on the phone and we can talk about the offense and the things that I like and the things I dislike from last year, and then just rolling that over and just having that continuity with guys already in training camp. The thing that I'm most excited about is you see a lot of teams that start fast. They retain a lot of their core value guys. And so they're able in training camp to be a lot more complex with the playbook and not have to be so vanilla. And last year, we had to be really vanilla in all three phases because we had three new systems. And so I think that was something that was a reason why we started so slow. And so that's what's encouraging about us getting off to a better start is we're going to have all three systems, offense, defense, special team, already there. We're going to have a lot of core guys who have a lot of meaningful football games under their belt. So we're going to be able to hit the ground running, and that's what excites me. So basically just a couple months to talk through it with McSimic, and then a training camp where I know I'm the guy and I know this role that I've been in the 7 of the last 8 years, and I'm really comfortable in that role. So just trying to find a way to get this team fired up about making the playoffs, and something that this team hasn't done since 2019. And so we want to be a playoff winning team this post-pandemic.
Excellent. Thanks, Cody. Congrats again, man.
Of course, you. Thanks, Morley.
All right, Justin Dunk, go ahead.
Cody, first and foremost, how seriously did you consider retiring from the CFL?
Yeah, it was pretty close. I know the last couple of weeks was really hard on my wife, specifically with the kids. Not making the playoffs was just like, obviously, salt in the wound. And it's just like, you don't make the playoffs and you're like, what am I doing here? I'm away from my family. I'm away from my young kids. Like, I'm wasting these golden years of my kids. And then, you see some of that positivity, you pull some of that positivity out. You watch two of basically your exes in the Grey Cup with Sask in Montreal, and that'll light a fire under you as well. And so we watched that game. We watched the playoffs, and Saskatchewan, a team that, in my opinion, I felt that we could have beat twice in a year, but we beat them once at home. You beat a Grey Cup winning team goes to show that you're not as far off as you think you are, even though we missed the playoffs. So that gave me hope about the team. Talking with Ed, and when we initially started some of these conversations was right after the Grey Cup. I still didn't know. We took a 2-week vacation. My wife and I, we just took some time away and spent some time with the family. And we really just wanted to see what life would look like with football and without football. And so, to tell you the truth, my university here made a really strong push to get me into coaching. And it's one of my dream jobs is to be a part of the Wolfpack and to coach. And so that made my decision really hard as well, because I could be here with my family and get into coaching. But at the end of the day, you only have so many years to play football, and I can coach for 50 years when, until I'm, 60, 70, 80 years old. But you can only play for so long. And that was something we talked about. And just another year for my kids to see me play football now that they're a little bit older and a little bit more in tune to things and can remember some things. I think that is something that played into a factor. So definitely considered it. Considered it much like I did in 2020 at the end of 2022. I would say I was probably closer to retiring this past offseason than I was in 2022 going into that 2023 season, because I felt like still young, still had some stuff to prove. being a Grey Cup winning quarterback, Grey Cup MOP, like there's things where you're like, okay, I can hang my hat if I hang it up. I know I did a lot of great things in my career, but it kept coming up. I want to be the quarterback to bring the Edmonton Elks back to the playoffs since 2019. That is something that was my goal. And there's a reason why I signed a very team-friendly contract, because I want guys around me that share that same goal. And I want to be able to be playing meaningful football in late October and in November, and something that Edmonton hasn't had since 2019. And so that would make any money that I missed out on contract-wise well worth it, making the playoffs this year. And that's the goal, and competing for a Grey Cup. And that was our vision when we talked through it and we went through negotiations. And so I'm excited to see what this team looks like in 2026.
Could you put a percentage on how close you were to retiring?
I would say at the end of the year, when I talked to everybody, I was probably 75% retiring, 25% coming back. When we had the post in the locker room garbage day media, talking with my wife, I felt like we were about 75% ready to hang them up and just move on from football. And with the Wolfpack coming in as well, and just knowing that I had a good transition from playing football into another job that really is essentially one of my dream jobs outside of playing football, that made things really tough. But having the conversations with Ed and talking with my wife, and just, like I said, watching that Grey Cup game and remembering how 2023 felt, and hoisting that cup over my head, and all the accomplishments that I had that year, and just the hard work, the blood, the sweat, the tears, and all the years that you put in for that one moment is a reason why I'm back. And the reason why I wanted to come back is because I want nothing other than to share a Grey Cup championship with the guys in the locker room that I've built some great relationships with in last year and going into this year.
What was the position that you were offered with the Nevada Wolfpack football team?
Offensive analyst. So I would have had, it was more of a prove it kind of deal. But you know, these coaches now in college football, they get paid pretty good money. So it was a good transition. It's nothing near starting quarterback money in the CFL, but it was something that definitely intrigued me. And I had those conversations with Ed, and I said, look, Ed, I want to be the quarterback for the Edmonton Elks. I want to, but I have this opportunity here, and just make the decision hard on me. And so he's like, all right, I can do that. And so he made the decision hard on me, and we talked through it, made pros and cons lists until we got blue in the face. But it always kept coming up, Edmonton Elks 2026, Edmonton Elks 2026, because I feel like I have unfinished business there. And I feel like what we built last year with that team and the coaching staff, and that we're going to retain a lot of players. I think if you look at our pending free agency list compared to everybody else, ours has to be the lowest. And that's encouraging for a guy like me, who we had so much turnover last year and was just trying to get to know everybody's names and figure out where they're from and what their aspirations are. We're going to hit the ground running in 2026, and that's super exciting.
Did you have these negotiations with Ed Hervey for your contract extension, you representing Cody Fajardo?
I did, yeah. I felt like, I've had a great agent that he's an NFL guy, and I'm like his only CFL guy. Ben is only CFL guy. He's done all my deals. Last year when I was dealing with the backup deal, I told him, I said, look, I'm going to sign a contract. Don't think I signed an agent. I did this myself. And so same thing I told him this year. I said, look, I want to gain the experience of going into the negotiation room with the GM. My goal at the end, when I'm done playing football, I would love to be a GM one day, whether it's for a college team or in the CFL, or somehow, some way be a general manager. And the only way you can get that experience is by doing it yourself. And so some of the conversations were tough to have as a player, and I felt like, maybe I left some money on the table with an agent. But for me, when you come up with a deal, we came up with numbers that felt good for me. And sometimes when you have an agent, the agent wants to push for more money because it gets more money in their pocket. For me, it was, if I feel valued with this contract, why not say yes? And so it was fun. It was stressful. It was frustrating. It was, every emotion that you can possibly have. But I stayed professional. Ed stayed professional the whole time. Like, I respect the way he handles business. We have a great relationship, and it started in 2018 when we were together in BC. And so we worked through some things. We took some time away, came back to the table, and we got things done relatively fast in terms of the back and forth. So that's encouraging, and I'm just excited about everybody who's reached out. There's been a lot of players. There's been, Chris Morris reached out to me. Killam called me all fired up. So a lot of people calling me and texting me, and I'm feeling the love today. And so that kind of also helps you double down on did we make the right choice when you have a lot of people that are in your corner and just want to see you play football again. And I felt that.
Did you have contract negotiations with Ed Hervey face to face prior to leaving Edmonton for the offseason?
We did not talk specific numbers, but in my exit meeting, we sat in his room for 3 hours talking about everything. So we had a team party that I was a little late to, and guys were a little upset, but they understood. They said, this will all be worth it if you sign back in 2026. So we had a 3-hour discussion face to face. And so that right there goes to show like just how professional Ed is, and to be able to sit down and talk with somebody in my position where we could have easily talked numbers then. He just wanted to talk about what I viewed in the season, what could be better moving forward, areas of need. And so just being able to talk shop with Ed for 3 hours in his room, and the time kind of flew by, that gave me the confidence knowing like, okay, if we get into negotiations, I feel comfortable that we're going to want to compromise on both sides. And I think the team compromised, I compromised, and usually you get a good deal when nobody feels great about the deal. That means both parties usually did a good deal.
Usually agents look at comparables for negotiating the contracts. What did you use from your side as to why you deserve the contract that you negotiated?
The comparables in this league are so dang hard. And it's funny because I was just talking to Davis about that. And I told him, I said, dude, I was using your old contract as one of the comparables, and you go and you screw me and sign a new contract. So we had a good laugh about that. But honestly, I used my 2023 Montreal contract as my comparable, because that was a contract that I was able to win a Grey Cup with and have a very talented team around me. So I wanted it to be comparable. Now I know the salary cap went up, but I believe that if I want to take this team to the playoffs for the first time since 2019, I wasn't going to break the bank as a starting quarterback. I need to be a guy in a situation. You got a guy like Zach Caleros who's been in the same spot for multiple years. It's a little bit easier to get more money there. A guy like Nathan Rourke, who's a Canadian guy. He's got a Canadian passport. It's easy to get a little bit more money there. Chad Kelly, a guy who's had ultimate hype around him when he signed his deal, coming off a Grey Cup like that. There was a lot of hype behind him. Easy for him to get a deal done. For me, who came in halfway through a year to a team that missed the playoffs, it's like you don't have a lot of leverage, but we talked about money that would get me valued and leave the team with a lot of resources. So I think when you see the numbers come out, it'll be in the lower end of the starting quarterback. But like I said, a playoff team is going to be way more important than any dollar figure for me personally, because that's just where I'm at in my career. If I was 26 years old, I'd tell you straight up, it's all about the money. I'm established in my life. I know exactly what our expenses are monthly. I figured out what we needed to be comfortable, and we got that deal done. And so I wasn't trying to be greedy. I wasn't trying to take from other guys on the team. And I want talented players around me, because if you look at that Sask roster last year, they were extremely talented. And that's another contract that I used. I used Trevor's contract last year, where he was able to sign a lot of players around him, another guy who's done a lot in this league. So I would say my 2023 contract and then Trevor's last year were two of the contracts that I tried to use as comparables.
I'll get one more here before I pass the baton back to Morley. You alluded to the Riders, and from my outside perspective, the maturation, let's say, of Cody Fajardo has been unbelievable. How would you categorize it from the time that you left Saskatchewan to the mature franchise quarterback that you are now?
Yeah, I became the man I am today because of the years I spent in Sask. And that's something I'll forever be thankful and grateful for. As hard as it was at times, you got to think we went to back-to-back West Finals and it still felt like, I was doing something wrong. And then we missed the playoffs, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back in 2022. But I wouldn't be the man I am today. I wouldn't be the quarterback I am today if it wasn't for my years in Sask. Now, the 2 years I spent in Montreal helped me mature a whole lot better as well. And I just got older. I had 2 kids along the way. And so life and perspective of life is a little bit different when you start having kids and it's not so football focused. When I was in Sask, it was so football focused because I was in the fishbowl and it was just me and my wife, and all we focused on was football, football, football. And so it got a little overwhelming at time. And I think sometimes my immaturity led to some things that I've said in the media or some of the actions that I did in a game that I look back on and I'm like, oh man, I'm not the same person. And I never want to be that person. And so to answer your question, like, I wouldn't be the man I am today without Sask, but getting placed in Sask for my first years as a franchise guy is a reason why I believe I'm a Grey Cup champion standing here in an MOP in a Grey Cup, because of those lifelong lessons and some of those hard times that I had to just figure out what life was about. And it's not all about football, that there's more to life than just football. And when I had that ease of just not putting so much pressure on myself, I found myself enjoying the game more, which allowed me to play better. And I think that's why you've seen over the course of the last 3 years that I've played have been some of the best numbers of my career. And I've just continued to trajectory is continuing to go up and up and up. And that's because I play for my family, and I don't know how many more years I have left. And so I take it 1 year at a time, and I just enjoy every single minute that I have.
Thanks. Hopefully I can jump back in after Morley's done.
Cody, you said you could coach till you're 80. How long can a guy play for? I mean, you look around right now, like Trevor re-signed, he's 40 plus. Bo's 35. Kalaris is around the same age, I think. Aaron Rodgers is still going in the NFL at 40 plus. Phil Rivers signed a contract today at 44. How long can you go?
These guys are making it so hard.
And what are the keys to an older quarterback having success?
They're making it so hard because they're making it look so damn easy at such an old age. And so I can think back to like when I was 25, 26, like, you feel like you're invincible, which you are. You get banged around in a game, you stand up the next day and you're like, I'm a little sore, but I feel good. I can go still play some pickleball or something. And then as you get older, you're like, okay, I need 2 days to fully reset and get going. So I think the biggest thing for me, I've been incredibly blessed with my injury course. I've been throughout my entire football career. And so that's allowed me to play as long as I have. A lot of these guys have dealt with some major injuries and have come back, and that's more credit to them. But I think injury and injury prevention is big, and my secret weapon being my wife and allowing me to be so healthy and fix me up as quickly as possible to go out there and have confidence in my body. I think is one of the things that is very important as an older guy. I also think when you have great players around you and when you have young guys that come in hungry and it just brings you back, right? Like I remember when I was 25 years old, 23 years old, and all I cared about was football and I want to win a championship. And like being able to mentor some of these guys while also learning from them has been so fun. Learning a little bit different lingo is always challenging, and just what the new crave and fads are all about. And so that's something that's always going to keep you young in the locker room. But I think your health is first and foremost. And then I think just the hunger for game is, do you still love playing football? And at the end of the day, I sat down with my wife and we talked about it. And I said, I still love football and I still want to play football. And so that was a major reason. I think once the love's burned out and once I'm like getting into games and I'm like not nervous and we win, whether we win or lose, I don't care. That's when it's like, what am I doing this for? I'm still fired up as ever if we win a football game, and I'm still pissed off for 24 hours if we lose a game. And so that tells me that there was a lot more football left in me.
All right. Last one from me. You kind of touched on it earlier. for the 2026 Edmonton Elks, how important will a fast start be?
Incredibly important. What sucks is the schedule came out and we got another week 2 bye week. So it's good and bad because you're able to recover out of a training camp where you feel like you're just wearing your body down. But also you just lose a week of just continuity and just trying to start fast. So I haven't really dove into the details of our schedule, but I do know we have a road game at Ottawa, which obviously Dinwiddie going there. That's going to be a new and improved football team, and then straight into a bye week. So we have to start fast because if you look at the course of Edmonton over the last couple of years, it's been slow starts that's killed them, and it's been teams that have come on late and just missed the playoffs. Come on late, just missed the playoffs, and so this team and this organization knows how to get it done late. Let's just win some more football games early on so it doesn't have to be so dang hard. So that's the goal. And like I said, I think we'll see some success because of the continuity and being in the same system and having a lot of guys returning. I think, and myself included, I think that was the goal for Ed this offseason. And when we talked, that was his biggest thing, was making sure that the turnover wasn't as big as it was last year. He wanted to make sure he had the right guys in the locker room, and I think you saw that as you were around us more than anybody. You saw we had the right guys in the locker room. Even when we were losing football games, guys never hit the panic button and just came and showed up to work and just wanted to work. But yeah, there's going to be a little bit of pressure on this organization to win early because we know what's happened the last couple of years, but we wouldn't want it any other way. Pressure is a good thing, and that's a privilege for us. And so we're going to want to start fast to set ourselves up in a good situation to make a great playoff and a great cup run.
All right. Thanks again. Congrats again on the contract.
Thanks, Morley.
All right, Justin, if you'd like to ask one more question, go ahead. We just have 5 minutes left in the room, though. So if we can keep it to one, that would be great.
You bet, man. I'll just ask Cody, when you went to Montreal, there were a lot of people that didn't think that team could win a Grey Cup considering all those circumstances. And I think a lot of the outsiders right now would look at Edmonton and say, okay, last place finish. Can the Elks really go from last place to winning a Grey Cup? What has to happen for that magic to be created again that you've done in Montreal, in Edmonton?
I think we need to keep the belief. And that's something that we had all throughout the final, 10 games of the season, is like we just had a belief in one another. And if we can carry that over, and this is what I told Ed in our exit meetings, I said, look, Ed, if we can find a way to take this momentum that we've created and roll it through the offseason and hit the training camp running. Like, I know I'm not under contract, but even if I don't come back, if the organization can do that, you're going to be in a great position to make the playoffs. And so I feel like with my signing, that helps kind of create that. And also knowing who your quarterback is helps you in free agency. And that was something I wanted Ed to know. I said, look, Ed, I will make my decision by the end of December at the latest. Like, you will know if I'm playing football or if I'm not by the end of December. So you can plan, because I don't want to set this organization back. Everything that we worked so hard to build last year, I don't want to hurt a team that bailed me out when there was nobody else that wanted me and I got traded from Montreal. So with that being said, we just have to carry this momentum going forward. And it's easier to be in the underdog role than it is to be the everybody target on your back. And I've been in both. In 2023, we were, the underdog role. We embraced it. 2024, it was like everybody's shooting for us. Now, we had a great year and we were the best team in the East, but we didn't win a Grey Cup. And so it's a little bit easier chasing the pack than being the one being chased by the pack. So I hope people sleep on us and continue to sleep on us. But I'll tell you this right now, there isn't one single team that wanted us to make the playoffs last year because they knew how dominant this team was playing down the stretch. And I think you're going to see the same thing at the start of 2026. A lot of teams aren't going to want to play this football team because of how we finished last year and the guys that we're going to be able to retain. And then some of the offseason acquisitions that Ed's going to be able to make. So that's what's going to be exciting for 2026. And it'll be interesting when the rankings come out. And so maybe they put us at 9 and they give me another Grey Cup speech that I can formulate, but we'll see. Maybe they learn their lesson.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.